Welcome to the Dashboard Effect Podcast. I'm Rick Thompson.
And I'm Caleb Oakes.
Caleb, we wanted to talk about building a data team, specifically in the current context of hiring for tech jobs. Your average software engineer, even data scientists, data folks, data developers, average tenure is about 2 years or less. Mm-hmm. Something like 69% of IT development hires, technology hires, are gone before 2 years. It could be really challenging.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, I can think back to a few clients. I mean, this was a few years ago, but the reason why they reached out to us was their developers left and nobody knew what was going on.
Right.
So they needed somebody to come in and help them out. Right?
Yeah.
And I think, it sucks to see that because, that they're kind of in a tough spot. They almost had to start over. Right.
Yeah.
And you can have other people come in and try and learn things, but without the people there that knew why decisions were made the way that they were, that, who writes good documentation nowadays? It's like non-existent. So, and keeps it up to date. That's all another thing.
That's the problem.
But and so, you're going to, that's a tough thing to have happen. And the fact that people leave in less than 2 years in these types of jobs is, makes it that much tougher to really deal with.
It definitely does.
It's hard. If I had to build a team at a company right now, I don't know what I'd do. You'd have to be thinking about some sort of built-in redundancy, or some sort of documentation. But the documentation just slows you down. It's like it's a real challenge.
By built-in redundancy, you're referring to you need. Let's say you need a data developer. You better hire two.
Yeah.
Because one of them's going to leave within 2 years. Hopefully, they don't both leave at the same time.
Right.
And then you need to quickly replace that person.
Mm-hmm.
We definitely have seen that.
Yeah.
We now run our business as a managed data service. We used to do projects. And in fact, recently, a client of ours that we did a bunch of big projects for came back and said our key person just left us high and dry. And so we needed to sign up for your managed data service because you know us. Mm-hmm. And it's going to take us too long to hire someone. And then we're going to keep going through that same cycle again. Exactly. It's challenging. I mean, it's challenging for us too, right?
Yeah.
We have turnover as well. And so we have to figure out how to quickly hire high quality people, train them, get them up to speed. It's different though when you've got a team of, a bunch of developers. You can bring someone in and they can start to get the context a lot quicker than if you've got a team of one or two or even three developers,
right,
and one or two of those leaves. I mean, it's challenging.
Yeah, right. We definitely have a bit of an advantage, especially, in this type of work because, like you said, we got a whole team that's doing it and they can kind of lean on each other. And we've got, let's say somebody leaves, we can use their last few weeks working with another one of our developers to get them up to speed in the context there and stuff, which honestly is a really, really great part about using like a service like MDS is that, we handle that. Like we give, you get a certain number of hours for development and stuff, but when we're onboarding someone, like we will take more hours to do that, right? Like we eat that. So it's one of those benefits that you get. I was going somewhere else with that, but I forgot.
Do you think the loss of institutional knowledge is the biggest problem?
Yeah, I think that's probably the thing that the business feels the most.
Yeah.
There's now all of a sudden the person that had all the answers doesn't have them anymore, and now things are breaking and nobody knows why, nobody can fix it. It's just like
stuff's breaking. Well, and projects that were in flight could be completely derailed.
Mm-hmm.
Could be starting over again. Yeah. Really challenging.
Yeah, it is. I remember when, if you remember, I think it was like shortly after maybe 2021, it was really, I think, caused by COVID that the salaries for tech just like exploded.
Yeah.
Like it was crazy. Like all of a sudden people were getting double their salary to go somewhere else. And one of the things that was really important in that time was like you can't really fight it, right? Especially like a company like us, and if you're in the mid market, you're probably in a similar boat. So the best thing you could do was like, we got to just be ready for it. Be ready for when that person leaves, either with redundancy or like just really solid documentation / training / like you got to have those things just dialed.
Yes.
To minimize the impact. Like you're not going to eliminate it, but hopefully you can minimize it.
Yeah.
Right?
So if you are building your own team, you have to just accept this as a fact of life, probably.
Yeah.
I mean, some people stay many, many years, but on average, it's going to be less.
Mm-hmm.
So if, let's say you're building a team of 3 or 4 people, you're in the mid-market, 3 or 4 people on a data team, you better also be building a hiring pipeline. So you're always sourcing that next great resource for when people leave. And I know from experience, that's hard to do when you have good people already. You got other problems. So it's hard to focus on that. And then have a plan for how are you going to onboard them and do that quickly so that when someone gives you 2 weeks notice because they got poached by a recruiter, which is just constant in tech, you're ready to pull the trigger on someone you've been nurturing and are ready to hire.
Yep.
And then you have a plan for getting that done.
Yeah, exactly.
Or outsource it.
Yeah, or outsource it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Good. All right. What else should people be thinking about?
That's really kind of the bottom line of where you're going to have a problem. And you can't, it's inevitable, right? It's kind of like, like you said, it's hard to find the time to train for something that you could think might happen.
Right.
But it probably will,
If you have a big team, it's just happening. So you do have that pipeline. You do have that training plan. But if you've got a small team, it is hard to keep your eyes on that.
Yeah.
Is there technology you can use to mitigate for this? We've talked about documentation. People have the best intentions and sometimes get a good first draft, and then it's hard to keep people keeping it up to date. Things are moving quickly. Are there things you can do to try to help with that?
I mean, the biggest thing that I try to preach to our teams and, practice myself is just simplicity, right?
Keep the solution simple.
Yeah, so it's not necessarily like there's a tool or something, but, the code that you're writing, the things that you're implementing, sometimes you have to do some weird stuff just because you're being scrappy, but the less of that you can do is going to not only save, the developer time later, but it's also going to make things easier as someone, if you do have to replace that person or bring somebody new in after somebody leaves, it's going to be a shorter period for them to, get going on something.
Yeah. So that key resource that you have or a couple of resources need to be really bought into that. Mm-hmm. I like that a lot. No crazy held together with duct tape solutions. Yeah. And then again, you don't want to over-engineer it. That's going to be a waste because things change fast. So you've got to know how to architect these really well, efficiently.
Right. Exactly.
Interesting.
Yeah. Super easy.
No problem. I'm glad we solved that for everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Anything else?
Oh, not that I can think of.
All right. Well, we'll sign off then.
All right.
Thanks.
Sounds good. See ya.